emotional to physical affair. My best friend is gone. We've known each other for 15 years. Been best friends since high school. I always wanted to be with her, but at the time, the interest wasn't returned. So, I was content to be the friend, hear about all the other guys and their problems. I dated, and maybe loved a few women myself, but through all of it, I daydreamed about getting that chance. After high school, that finally happened. We both fell for each other, and we just knew we were done searching. Engaged 2 years later, married 2 years after that, celebrated a 4th anniversary back in October. And we're making big plans for our 5th. We were both happy, and at least I thought. Not perfect. Truth be told, over the last year or so, I had gotten a little complacent. I wouldn't say neglectful, but I know I wasn't meeting all of her emotional needs, and I could have done better. In November she sat me down, talked it all out, and I knew I had to change, and was working towards it. Around the same time, she reconnects with one of her old high school BFF. A girl that she hadn't really seen or spoken to in a year and a half. She had also been in a long-term relationship and had recently left the guy for the same issues of neglect, complacency. I don't know if this sowed the seeds in my wife's mind, or if it was just a coincidence. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was just happy they were hanging out again. They make plans to go out to a club one night. They invited me along, but I figured they should have a girls' night out. And to be honest, nightclubs have never really been my thing. That night, my wife makes a new guy friend, a mutual friend of her girlfriend. A week or so later, I noticed that she's suddenly texting a lot. Normally our phone bill would only have 200 to 300 texts per month on her line, but now the phone is constantly dinging. I happen to look over her shoulder and see his name. Ask her who he is. She tells me how they met, says he's just a friend. She's had guy friends in the past, so I don't think much of it. But it continues, texting all the time, and now she's more guarded with her phone. I playfully express some jealousy, although suspicion is starting to prickle in the back of my mind. She continues to wave it off. Just a friend. Towards the end of December, I look at the phone bill, and her 200 to 300 norms has spiked to over 2,000 messages since meeting this guy in mid-November, and over 1,000 with him. Now I'm getting worried, but I gave it away. She wouldn't do that. She's always been the biggest defender of fidelity. Always gets so angry when a celeb or politician is caught in a scandal. If you're going to go after someone else, there's no excuse not to break it off with your current partner first. She's also spending more time out with her friends. Never mentions him or if he'll be there. I assume it's all girlfriends. The night of 12/30th, a Sunday, she goes out about 6 p.m. Says she's meeting up with this same girlfriend. For some reason my gut tells me to check, and through Find My iPhone I see she's at someone's house. But it's not her girlfriend's. She comes home around midnight, very out of the norm for her on a weeknight, and says they just went to the mall and back to the girlfriend's to see a movie. After she goes to sleep, I check the phone. I look at the texts, and I know she was with him, probably by herself. Text to him that evening says, "I'm here." Not "we're here," as it should if she was with a friend. There's also a bunch deleted. Per the phone records, there should be a couple hundred more than the ones I saw. I'm shell-shocked. I don't sleep all night, and when she gets up the next morning, I confront her. First mistake, should have waited for more evidence. She admits they went over to his place, but that her girlfriend was with her. It was a spontaneous plan, and they really did watch a movie. Didn't want to tell me last night because she knew I'd be upset, but they really are just friends. I say fine, but I want to meet him. Next time they're all going out to the club, bar. I want to go. She hesitates, says that's not a good idea, and it would be awkward. Doesn't explain why. Now I just have more suspicions. Then, out of nowhere, she starts talking about how she thinks she might need some space. Might go live with her mom for a while. That we've been having our own problems. True, from the talk in October. And now I'm being irrationally jealous. I talk her down from that, and she goes to work. I take the day off, having got no sleep that night. That night we go to a New Year's Eve party with some friends. She's on the phone texting all night. Every time I see it, I pocket dial her, interrupting her texting. Tell her jokingly that we're here to spend time with friends, not our phones. She laughs it off, but I sense some irritation. On the way home that night, I decide that enough is enough. We've always had a promise to each other that if we had a friendship that made the other uneasy, we'd cut it off. No questions. I invoke that deal, tell her that I don't like this, that I want her to cool it with him while we're working on our own issues. She's only known him for a little over a month. That shouldn't be a huge sacrifice. She flips. I'm controlling. I don't get to tell her what to do. She packs her things that night and leaves. Happy New Year. I wasn't sure if there really was an EA, or if I was being crazy. I thought maybe it really was all about me. So, I chased, begged. No 180. Second mistake. First being the too early confrontation. We did spend some time together that week, and one night I ask her what her weekend plans are. She's going to the aquarium with her girlfriend. Alarms go off in my head. I remember from the texts I read a few nights ago that the other man is into aquariums. I ask if she's driving there. She says yes. Another alarm. This girl hates driving in the city. So to voluntarily do it on a weekend night. No way. I don't question it though. I give her a couple days of space, then the night she's there. I text her to ask her how it's going. No answer. I call a few hours later, trying to see if she has planned the next day. No answer. I check the phone details online. I see texts to her girlfriend that she's supposedly there with, but not a single text to her from the other man. My heart sinks. The next day, she comes over to get some more of her stuff. I ask her again about last night. She sticks to the lie. I confront her again, with the evidence in front of her. She says that yes, he was there. Her and her girlfriend invited him at the last minute. The texts between her and the girlfriend were about things they didn't want him overhearing. I didn't ask what. Then I get the "I'm not in love with you" speech. She's not sure she ever did. This was all a mistake. Totally whitewashed the past 8 years together. She's done. This is over. I have to accept it, she says. She didn't tell me about the other man the night before because she didn't want me going down the wrong track. He's just a friend. This is really about you. She wants a divorce. I'm just floored. It hasn't even been a week since she left. In the next couple days, she wastes no time opening up her own bank account, severing as many financial ties as she can, getting more stuff out of our apartment, etc. full speed ahead to D. So, the next week, I chase her some more, but my gut is eating at me. There's more to the story than this. So finally, I take the plunge, and I get all the texts and photos from her phone. Won't explain how I did it, but it was an invasion of privacy. And I don't feel good about it, but I had to know, and it was all there. Flirtatious texts, calling each other babe, sexy, cutie, etc. talking to her girlfriend about her feelings for him. All of this, spanning from before she left and after. Texts proving that on multiple days after leaving, she had gone over to his place. Even worse, she trashes me to her friends and to the other man. Psycho, loser, weirdo. Psycho just won't get it. We're done. I think that hurt more than anything else, but I figure that was her way of dealing with the guilt of the affair. She was supposed to be my best friend. I did see texts to her girlfriend saying that she no longer had feelings for him. Only wanted to be friends with him now. But they were recent, from the same day I obtained them. I said nothing to her, but the next day, she must have figured out I had all of this. And that she was busted. She comes over, tells me I need to know everything. The first time she met him, he hit on her. She shut it down. A couple weeks later, they went out as a group again. They were dancing. He was kissing her neck. She shut it down again. The weekend before she left, they all went out again. He tried to kiss her. And she didn't stop it. They made out. She swears that's as far as it went. Admitted that the night of the 30th, when she was over there watching a movie, she was alone, and it had been the plan the whole time. Night at the aquarium, same thing, her and him alone, always the plan. That she did have feelings for him, but they had passed, and they really were just friends now. But she argued that she hadn't cheated. There was no affair here. Her leaving really was still all about me. Nothing to do with him. No remorse from her. Guilt about lying, sure, and she said she only lied because she didn't want me thinking she left for someone else. But I think if she hadn't found out I knew, she never would have come clean, if you can call that coming clean. I thanked her for her honesty, and she left. A couple days later, after stewing on it, I emailed her and told her that until she could admit that this was an affair and show some remorse about it, there was nothing here to salvage, relationship or friendship, which she told me throughout the separation that she really hoped we could stay friends, that I was willing to forgive her, but I can't forgive what she's not sorry about. She wrote back that she had apologized for lying, and the rest of this was simply semantics that she wasn't going to talk about anymore. The other man had nothing to do with her leaving, that she has no romantic interest in him, and no romantic interest in me, and she's not sure if she even wants to be friends with someone who thinks she's a cheater. I told her, I don't think you're a cheater. I know you are, and left it at that. Haven't talked to her since. It's been a few days now. I don't know if she's in a fog. I don't know if this was just an exit affair. I don't know if it's too late, if I made too many mistakes dealing with this. I still have the evidence I could expose, but is there a point to it? All I know is that I miss my friend. I know that we can't go back to this that I could probably never trust her again, even if she wanted to try for R, but I miss her friendship. I just keep reminding myself that friends don't treat each other this way, that she's a stranger now, but it still hurts, that 8 years together, and a bright future, have all been seemingly destroyed in a span of 4 weeks. I guess I should add that I know what I have to do, lawyer up and serve her. I'm still not sure if I want to pursue grounds of adultery. In my state, I only need enough circumstantial evidence to prove a desire and an opportunity to have intercourse. I think I have that, but I'm not sure if it's worth the inevitable extra money. We have no kids, no property, apartment lease is up in March. She's moving into a new place with a roommate. I'm settling with my parents while I regroup and figure out where I want to go. Joint account is already closed. We both took our pieces of it beforehand. It should be a simple divorce if I go with no fault, but I still hate the idea of just letting her get away with all of this with no consequences. Then again, what does file with fault really do other than some public shame? I still haven't exposed anything to anyone besides my own immediate family. Because I needed someone to talk to. I guess a small part of me still wants to believe she's in the fog. That if she gets served at work and knows I'm serious, maybe she'll have second thoughts about all of this. I guess that's impossible as long as she doesn't think she did anything wrong. I don't know why I have that hope. I still don't think I could take her back, but I guess I at least want to see her try to make an effort. Couple of things. She did say that her and the OM were no longer interested in each other. Or at least she's not interested in him. Normally I'd say she's still lying, but I did see the text to her girlfriend saying the same thing. And that was before she knew that I had any evidence. So, I'm inclined to believe her on this point. Yet she's still adamant about getting out. That said, they are still friends. I wonder if she still has unresolved feelings that she won't even admit to herself. Or if she's just still riding the high of the EAPA. And she's thinking that she'll be able to move on to someone else quickly to fill that void. Anyone but me, I guess. As for her finances, she took all the steps to take care of herself while I was still begging her to slow down before doing anything drastic. She has her own account now, own phone, own insurance. Her car's been paid off for a couple years now. She doesn't make great money, less than me, but she'll be sufficient on her own, at least until she has a big medical expense. Car breaks down, or something along those lines, and all the talk about positive reinforcement, trying to be happy for her. Our last email exchange was fairly bitter, and since then I've put up a no-contact barrier. Should I knock that down, fake an apology for my anger, and show support, while still moving to file for D, of course, or keep out of contact and, if she decides to, let her come to me? As hard as that is to swallow, it would make the most sense. She's always admitted being very insecure about herself, and self-conscious about her image. Maybe with me she saw a guy who accepted her unconditionally, flaws and all. And even if she wasn't into me as much as I was into her, she thought she could make it work. Her girlfriend leaving her long-term relationship put the idea in her head to finally jump, and the other man provided the landing spot. She did say, when she was coming clean, that she had been thinking about leaving since shortly after our anniversary, back in October. But she couldn't muster up the courage to do it. I told her that if she had done it then, I would have been heartbroken, but maybe we still could have been friends down the road. But to do it this was just cowardly and deceitful. Of course she disagrees. Really sucks. My appetite hasn't been that bad in the last week or so. Even been making an effort to eat better than I did when we were together. Early on after she left, I could barely eat a thing all day. Couldn't sleep much either, waking up at random times during the night. And the dreams were the worst. The dreams have mostly gone away now, and I can get a full night's sleep, although waking up alone in the bed still hurts each morning. I really don't feel that depressed anymore. I was before. Still sad, of course. Now, since finding out, I feel a mix of vindication. I'm not crazy, my gut was right, along with hurt and resentment. Angry that she's been going out virtually every night since leaving, having a blast with her friends, and with him. I keep getting the urge to take all my evidence, throw it up on Facebook and say F her, but I've been swallowing it down for now. But I'm sure I'm still on the roller coaster, and my moods will vary. Think the main reason I don't just throw it all up on Facebook for our families and mutual friends is the fear that she might be crazy. Angry enough to take legal action over it. Sure, would be a lot easier than going from person to person telling, showing them individually. I actually just made plans to visit with her brother and his fiancée next week. They've been begging me to hang out since the news of the separation broke. Guess I'll start the exposing there. I really do like her family though, and I don't want to hurt them by showing them what their daughter, sister really is now. And I guess I'm a little afraid they'll just deny, get angry, or shut me out. But I know I have to do it. I think she stopped it we made out because it was bad enough to confirm my suspicions and make me think it was the whole truth, while still keeping the entire ugly truth to herself. I mean, the night after the makeout session was when she was over there by herself all night, and apparently, they only watched a movie and talked. They went from lip-locking in public, and then 24 hours later they get a good 4 to 5 hours to themselves in private. And all they do is talk. Sucks to admit it, but I really doubt it. I'm almost tempted to bluff and tell her that I know they did the dirty, just to see if she'll assume I have more evidence and admit it freely. After all, once she figured out that I had the evidence of the EA, she had no trouble coming clean. Maybe it would work again. Then again, maybe I don't really want to know. Clubbing gets old after a while and she will wonder what happened. This is a phase, trying to make up for what she may see as lost time. Peppered in with the talk of I'm not in love with you and this was a mistake was a lot of talk about getting to be her own person. finding herself, etc., going straight from high school to a serious long-term relationship. I can see that, and if she had left on that reasoning alone, without cheating, I could have forgiven. I guess she assumes I'll wait around for her to get all of this out of her system and wait patiently for her to figure out what she wants. Wrong. We started counseling together shortly before she left. Her idea. I agreed, but by the time the second session had come, she had already told me she was done and was only going to support me and try to help me find acceptance. I invited her to keep coming along, hoping that if the counselor asked the right questions or gave us the right homework assignment, maybe something would trigger for her and she'd reconsider. Our most recent session was last night. In our last email exchange, a couple days before that, she asked if I still wanted her to go. I told her that I was going, and if she wanted to, she knew how to get there, but that she should go only if she wanted to, if she thought she'd get something out of it, but not to go just to try to support me through the pain she caused. Not surprisingly, she wasn't there last night, so now it's IC, which I know I need and will continue going to. The best part was the night she left. As she's packing her things, she tells me that I'm all wrong about the OM, that they had been talking about the marriage and talking about her desire to leave, which is why she had been guarding her phone and deleting texts, and that he had actually been on my side, trying to persuade her to give me another chance. If I hadn't been in so much anguish watching her walk out the door, I probably would have doubled over in laughter. Going through all my evidence now, along with her trickle truths, trying to construct a timeline of the last 2 months for exposure. Not sure when I'll do it, but at some point, I know I have to drop the bomb. Just pisses me off more reading it again. Helps in a way. I've still been fighting an occasional urge to reach out. My best friend, and he's been her friend for a long time, too, called her tonight. They hadn't talked since the separation. She was out, didn't talk long. Told him that she hadn't reached out to him yet about the situation because she didn't want to make things awkward between me and him. Said she'd call him back tomorrow though. We'll see. I shouldn't care, but now I'm interested. I can't help but read that as I'm still trashing him to everyone that will listen but didn't want to involve you. Maybe she's afraid I'll drop this bomb at any minute, and she's trying to get out in front of it and crap on me first. Damn, I still don't know why I care, but it just makes me angrier. So, still keeping up the NC. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to stop checking Facebook. I know I need to. Hopefully one day soon I can muster the willpower and just block, delete everything. I see that her and the original other man really are done, and she's already seeing a different guy. In a strange way, it makes me feel a little better. She's always had self-esteem and insecurity issues. She's not happy with herself. She admitted that much in the couple counseling sessions we went to before she stopped going. I know now that while a lot of factors contributed to her leaving, this was the biggest. And if it hadn't happened now, it would have sooner or later. She always complained about a lack of attention, and the argument had merit. But if she doesn't love herself, there's no amount of validation I could have given her that would have made her content. I would have simply worn myself out trying. I think the only reason she stayed as long as she did was because she knew I accepted her unconditionally. As soon as she started getting that same attention from another guy, she was out. But that faded, and so will this guy. Sooner or later, she will have to be alone, single, and I know she's terrified of that idea. Maybe that's when she'll come back and want to try again. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't still a little hopeful for that. But I also don't know if I'd take her back. And if that day never comes, then I'm okay with that too. Which is more than I could have said a couple weeks ago. I still have all my evidence typed up. I haven't exposed yet. I still go back and forth on whether to do it. I guess I'm afraid of coming off as the petty, bitter ex, slinging dirt while she has, seemingly, completely moved on and is living her life. At the same time, I'm not sure why, if I should care how her friends, family think of me for doing it. My friends, family certainly won't blame me. I don't care about any of her friends, and while I love her family, it's not like I'll be seeing or spending a lot of time with them in the future. Or maybe I'm just still scared to burn the bridge between me and her. I'm going to end up breaking NC. I can feel it, and I hate myself for not being strong enough. I almost did it last night, but finally decided to sleep on it. This morning, so far, is no better. The battle continues to rage in my head, one side longing just to talk and spend time together, even as friends. The other side reminding me of what she did and how she treated me. That latter side was winning for a while, but I'm having a hard time sustaining that anger and resentment. I guess that's because I feel pretty sure now that the E isn't why she left. It was just a springboard, because she was too cowardly to stand up on her own and walk out, terrified of being alone. She waited for the next boat to float by, and then jumped ship. I guess that's why I haven't exposed yet either. Because even now that her and the other man fizzled out, she still expressed no interest in coming back. So maybe there's no fog to snap her out of. Maybe she's just truly happier without me. And if true, it hurts a little, but I'm okay with it. I know she still cares about me, and she still desperately wants to be friends. So, we've been best friends for half a decade before getting married, and even though it failed, why should I throw her out of my life completely? Even if the way she handled things was pretty crappy. I just hate to think that what might possibly be our last exchange to each other was so full of bitterness and bile. Particularly from my end. Maybe if I had gone dark on more amicable terms, she would have reached out by now. I still wonder why she hasn't, but I don't think it's because she doesn't care, but because we're both too prideful to step forward first. Maybe I should be the bigger person. I don't know what to do. I was feeling better, taking things one day at a time. Now it feels like I'm taking them a minute at a time. I have IC tonight. I suppose I'll see how I feel after that. And if I'm still in this spot, then maybe I should just reach out and be done with it. Now, to the next question. Expose, or not to expose. I keep going back and forth. Key facts, beliefs here. Her and the OM no longer have romantic feelings towards each other, and really are just friends now. This was confirmed while snooping, although the EAP still did go on for 2 months. Believe he was simply an exit affair, because she lacked the courage to walk out on her own without a potential landing spot. Through FB I have a reasonable suspicion that a second OM has come into the picture since then. Although now that we're separated, I'm not sure he truly counts as another man. She seems truly excited to be independent and is moving into her own place with a different girlfriend next month. She's still a coward and a cheat, but at the core of it I'm pretty sure she wants to be her own person, make up for lost time. Simply not be married, etc. I don't know if there is any fog to knock her out of, although I could be wrong, and if there is, 2 weeks of NC have not put any kind of dent into it. During the separation she has trashed me behind my back to some of her friends, and the other man, not pinning the failure of the marriage on me like he ex me, had a terrible temper, but simply expressing annoyance and contempt for me. I have no idea what she has been telling people about why we split, as I have not talked to her family or any of her friends since it happened. Given her attitude towards me, at least when talking to other people, I'd imagine she's not making herself the bad guy though. Waiting so long now, I run the risk of coming across as the petty, vindictive ex. She's on FB posting pictures, posts about her new place, being out with friends, and I'll be trashing her to everyone she knows. On the other hand, I guess I don't really care. I don't care what her friends think. I would not want to upset her family, but if I have to, so be it. Not like I'd be seeing much of them in the future anyway. Even most of our mutual friends have seemingly turned out to really be her friends, as again, none of them have reached to me since splitting. Her biggest fault, or at least one of them, is caring too much what other people think of her. I know that right now she is terrified of the idea that I will expose, or am already going around exposing slowly from person to person. I know an exposure will normally, temporarily, push a WW away anyway, but in this case, it may cause a lot more damage and burn any potential bridges. The relationship bridge, I'm okay with burning. The friendship bridge, I still don't know. I'd like to think we could get back there one day, way in the future. This might hurt that cause, the potential legal recourse, although this is the least of my concerns. The evidence I have was more than likely obtained illegally. If she or a family member are that distraught over it, they may want to threaten, pursue it. Although I kind of doubt it. Even if they did, I would think the authorities have more important things to prosecute than a husband exposing his wife's affair. I wouldn't plan on leaving the FB post up forever anyway, just 24 to 48 hours for everyone to see, then remove it. I suppose the biggest question is, what do you hope to gain by doing it? And my answers would be 1, to show her that actions have consequences, and 2, since she's still not acknowledging that what she did counts as an EA, cheating, hopefully someone else will talk sense into her. As I said, if I could actually get some remorse from her, I'd feel much better about all of this. So, go, or no go. As I've said, she's always been very insecure about herself, image, whatever. I think when we got together, she saw me as someone who had always loved her anyway and figured I always would. Honestly, being so long ago, I can't even remember if she had recently gotten out of a relationship before we hooked back up. I want to say that she had. If so, that's a red flag I missed. After getting married, she put on a lot of weight, was even more unhappy with herself as a result. I tried constantly to flatter her, and make it known that I loved her and found her beautiful no matter what she looked like. She always waved these off as insincere. I know you're lying, etc. Boy, does it get tiring trying to give compliments to someone who won't accept them. I kept it up anyway, and of course, she wasn't getting hit on when out at the bars, so I had no competition. Over the last several months, she's lost over 70 pounds, and dropped back down to pre-wedding weight. Give her credit, she did it with nothing but willpower, diet, and exercise. I'm sure it boosted her self-esteem, as it should have. That coupled with the new attention from guys, and I was doomed. Not that I'm dismissing my own faults or contributions to the failed marriage. I own those mistakes, after all. There's very rarely a clear-cut good guy and bad guy, but it seems like I was fighting a losing battle from the start. I'm still feeling good about exposing. Even if it nets me nothing except some angry in-laws. I'm glad I did it, because, regardless of the 9,000 different reasons she's thrown at me for leaving, except the OM, she'll continue to swear that he wasn't it. One of two things is true. 1. The OM is not why she left, and she truly was unhappy for a long time. That means she was still too cowardly to stand up on her own and leave. She had to wait for the right time to jump off the sinking ship, leaving me to drown. 2. The OM is the reason she left, and she's lying to everyone, and maybe even herself. Whatever option it is, both show a total lack of respect for me, our marriage, or the vows she took. Therefore, I see no reason to respect her desire to keep all of this a secret. The first people I heard back from after exposing were her brother and his fiancée. Of all the people, I was most worried about what their reactions would be. Because I've always been so close to them, I was shocked. They didn't go so far as to pick a side, and I told them that I didn't want them to. It wasn't the intention, but they were so supportive, and were upset with her, and felt betrayed themselves because she had been painting a terrible picture to them and making things out to be entirely my fault. It was incredible, and I'm still a little misty-eyed over it. I'm so glad I put it all out there. I'm still not sure what the reaction from her mother, or other friends will be, or my wife's reaction herself. Maybe they'll beat her over the head as well. I'm not saying I pursue an R at this point. I'm not even going to think about it unless it becomes a reality, but I most likely would not, but I'd at least like some remorse from her, so that I can forgive and get some closure. But even if everyone else lashes out against me over it, having those guys' support makes it all worth it. Most importantly, the truth has been told, and I can start moving on. A couple hours ago, piece of crap wife sent a text simply saying, "Call me." I haven't dignified it with any kind of response. It's a little off-putting that she thinks she can still just snap her fingers and I'll drop everything to see what she wants. If she has something to say about it, she knows my number, and I'll hear her out for as long as I can stomach. Otherwise, I have nothing to say to her. And about the evidence, mainly text transcripts, numbers and names hidden, some photos from her phone of their nights out together. OM's face blurred. Not that I owe the piece of crap any privacy, but I'd rather take precautions where I can. Also, the details of her own confession to me the night she came clean, or more likely, trickle truth. It was a very matter-of-fact presentation, no emotion in it. Made it clear that the exposure was not a matter of personal vengeance or bitterness. Posted it so that it was only visible to a very select group of individuals. My family, hers, my closest friends, her closest, and our closest mutual friends. I intend to leave it up for a day or two to let those people get a chance to see it, then take it down. My comment, Part 2 ending coming soon. Got to head out to grab some groceries. Sub and bell, and when I'm back, I'll finish up the ending.